Right then, today I'm going to introduce you to my MechLab. I'm going to pretty much show you all of the mechs I own, except these two Black Queens. I'm afraid they are top secret, so they're not going to be told how they work. Okay then, let's start with some of the Phoenix Hawks. Let's look at the Bone Claw first of all. This is one of my favourite melee mechs. Now the way I've actually set these up, they've got specialist weapons, namely these Endo Bone Claws. These were picked up during the Necromo event during Halloween, so I'm afraid they're once a year events, although I have heard that Okodo has recently added the ability to get these from Caesar's Crown if you complete the flashpoint that leads to those. Now the Bone Claw itself is a standard melee mech, so it's got all the usual things you'd expect: retractable blades, lower melee punch. Now the thing I like to do with all of my mechs is put on Hargel. The problem with any of your lambs is they're actually fairly fragile, so you have three options. You either stealth them, you put lamb lamella, or you put Hargel. My personal option is to go to Hargel. They don't generally take too much damage if you keep your pips high, so it means that they will recover the small amount of damage they do pick up. Another couple of key things that you'll see on all of my mechs, I use these Heatsink Prototype Plus kits. These are amazing. I'm afraid the poor Caretans, I always go and seriously go after them at the beginning of a career, because you will only find these on their Dragon X mechs. So I think I managed to pick up 5 or 6 of those and then built them, kept stripping them back, getting parts and rebuilding until I ran out of parts, and picked up a whole bunch of these Plus Prototype Heatsinks. Another thing that you'll see that's quite unusual is this Gyro Brawler. Now these are only found as fixed parts on mechs such as the Wolverine X. You can obtain them though if you're careful at how you kill the Wolverine X. And I believe they were also for sale during the Wobsembra event on one of the factory systems that I think Ghost Bears controlled at the time. Within the head there's another unusual piece, this Phx Berserker. These I pick up by doing the flashpoints for the Transformers. You'll find that one of the Transformers, Grimdark, will come with the Phx Berserker. If you kill him and don't destroy the head, you can recover them from that. Standard piece, of course, D&I cockpit. Unfortunately with lambs you can't use cockpit heatsink, cockpit. Oh, you know the one I mean. The hot seat, that's the one. Because you can't equip that sort of TSM into a lamb. And of course virtual reality pods are pretty ubiquitous throughout my lambs to ensure they get as much evasion as possible. One other item that's fairly new to RogueTech is this Lamb XXL Clan engine. It basically adds a lot of value to your lambs, so it allows you to hit much higher difficulty levels when you're fighting. Okay, the next mech we're going to look at is one of the Pulse Phoenix Hawks. Now these little buggers, they can do masses of heat damage to an enemy. You see, I was lucky enough during one of the events to pick up a pair of these FCS Pyro RTOs. When I first got it I thought, they don't look really very good, do they? It's like +1 heat, +10%, what's that about? And then Draytag said, well, what are you going to do with them? Which made me think, maybe they're actually better than I thought. So what it actually means is that every single shot this mech does adds +1 heat damage to all of the targets it hits. So I was thinking, what weapons can I use? I could put machine guns on, they do quite a lot. And then I remembered the medium pulse. And these things are amazing. They actually do 35 shots each per turn. So if you do 35 shots with 1 heat per turn, that's a lot of heat, plus a fair amount of damage. As with my other mechs, I've also used Hargel. I've added laser insulators to reduce their heat load, talons, and the Gyro Brawler so they can kick and brace when in melee. It just makes them a really good all-round mech. If you go in and kick them, every single shot is almost guaranteed to hit, so it works really well. You'll also notice I do have superchargers on all of my lambs because, well, it makes them go a lot faster. Just don't let them explode. The third mech that we're going to be looking at is the Rapple Phoenix Hawk. So why have I called it Rapple? Well, it's because these things come equipped with rotary AP large bore Gauss rifles. Try saying that fast. These are a weapon that unfortunately were nerfed a little bit, but I still find them really, really good for backstabbing with your mech. Now, unlike my other mechs, I don't have it set up for melee, so the pilots don't have any sort of melee abilities. And you'll also notice I do not use the Brawler. I use a stabilised microlight gyro instead, because of the reduced weight, and so it allows me to fit everything else I need on board. The fourth type of Phoenix Hawk we're going to look at is the Phx Carrier. This is one of my newest additions to my lance. In fact, I only got it a couple of days ago. So this is the Phoenix Hawk 3. This one's actually unlocked by completing the Heretic flashpoint. And what it comes with is one of these LAM infantry bays that allows you to carry 3 BA on board a single mech. The only downside of these is they take up a lot of carry capacity. You can see this 3-sized bay actually uses 12 tons of carry capacity. Now a 90-ton mech starts off with 9 tons of carry capacity, so in order to get it to be able to use this I had to add more. You have a couple of options. You can either go for LAM Endo TSM, or you can go for the new specialist units that add carry capacity at 2 tons a pop. I personally went for the LAM Endo TSM, but then I was still finding I didn't quite have enough to get my LAM Booster 80 that I wanted in place. By getting the 80, it allowed me to add 1 extra turbine, so I could go a bit of extra speed. So in order to add just that little bit of extra carry capacity, I've also added 2 lower melee weapons slots, which, as you can see, they add 10% carry weight, which is absolutely brilliant. This mech has been designed predominantly as a charge bot, so it will pick up the BAs and it will charge into combat, which is why it's got the upper spiked kits. And then when it's within close range, I've got both leg spike boots and battle fist, so it has the option of either punching or kicking as needed. The fifth type of Phoenix Hawk, this one doesn't actually get used quite as much, is my Supra Phoenix Hawk. This one is a bit unusual because it's actually set up for headshotting. So I've equipped it with 8 of these small Supra lasers. These can switch modes from ranged, standard and damage. If you can get in close with the damage, it means they do 42 damage per shot. And they're quite light, small, so you can fit them on. You can get quite a number of, you can get your BCs in place. I've obviously gone for the enhanced imaging, so you get extra accuracy when you're aiming for a headshot. But other than that, it's not a superb mech, but it's quite useful when there's a specific target that I'm going after and I need to try and headshot. Now we're going to move on to my super heavies. The first one we're going to look at is my Mothball Carrier. A bit like the Phoenix Hawk Carrier, this one is designed to carry 3 battle armors into combat and also to do a whole bunch of damage itself. Now, unlike the Phoenix Hawk, this one's actually, I've designed it so it can DFA. When you get hit, when a mothball jumps on your head, your mech knows about it, and it's really good at taking one out. I've also added quite a lot of heat sinks into it so that it doesn't overheat if it does a long range jump. You'll find that because of the super heavy booster, a mothball can jump ever such a long way, so they're pretty good at that. I've also set it up so that when it's in melee, it can also punch when it's landed, and it's got upper harden so that it reduces its damage, so it sort of acts like a bit of a tank as well as being able to carry the 3 BA, so it's quite a fun mech, but it is a lot slower than the Phoenix Hawks. The second mothball that I'm actually using this season is one I've called a Mothball Snipe. This one's designed again as a headshot type mech, but it's much better than the Supra because it uses these hyper lasers. So these are pretty long ranged, they've got high damage at 100 apiece. The only downside is that they will go and crit quite often, so you have to be a bit careful when you use them throughout a battle. But with the number of BCs you can actually stack on board this mech, it's able to get really good accuracy, and it's able to hit that head most often, so it's really effective, especially if I'm trying to headshot some of the super heavies that I've been wanting to collect. The next 2 mechs I'm going to show you are my 2 Tiamats. You'll find that both of these have been kitted out with some really serious RTO stuff. Again, this was stuff that I picked up during the second event that happened. For this particular mech, I've managed to pick up this sensor tracker, which as you can see gives +4 accuracy at extreme range, +3 at long range, which is perfect when you're using railguns. I've also picked up this BC Sniper RTO, so that increases your range, decreases your minimum range and increases your accuracy as well as big cool shot bonus. And of course we've also got this BC Snaffo on board. This thing increases 20% Gauss rifle damage. Railguns, they are a type of Gauss rifle, so it also applies to those. As far as the build goes, I've put 2 of the clan railguns. I could have gone for the normal ones, but because of the recoil it's better to go for clans because then you get close to 99% accuracy for every single shot. I've also used the advanced torso mount cockpit, so that this way this actually allows you to fit BCs without having to use a separate FCS, which means I could add an FCS Gauss sniper for even more accuracy, another +3 accuracy to those railguns. And of course a tiny little compact gyro just so that I've actually got enough space for everything on board this mech. Now this is the second tier mat I've got. It uses ultralight naval Ppcs. I mean, this sort of thing is really useful when you are having a protracted battle and you're going to get a bit low on ammo. You'll find that these only drop from the party kill tank. It's a super heavy tank. It's really quite nasty to come up against, so be careful if you're hunting them. But as you can see, they are pretty cool. They also have different fire modes, including boost, which will actually massively increase the damage, but then you have a long time to cool down before you can fire again. I've had to stack a huge amount of heat sinks to get this thing to work, and I've put on a small amount of this infected Myomo. This was another one that was picked up during the Halloween event back on the Chromo. It's quite a useful thing just for sort of topping up the armour as it takes damage. Just like the other tier mat, I've used an advanced torso mount cockpit so that I can mount BCs, while still using the FCS energy range to further increase the range of these. They're not bad for range. I mean, as a basic they've got 1,111 metres, but if you can add that extra range, and you can add the RTO tracker, you know, you've got the accuracy, you've got the range. Nothing wrong with this mech, it's absolutely lovely. Now this is my next mech I'm going to show you. This is my Doom Turtle Supreme. I'm afraid nobody else can get one of these. When they first came out, I hunted one straight away and I was lucky enough to actually pick one up. And then unfortunately they found that it's got this built-in ferrocarbide shell, which as you can see takes up a whole bunch of slots and does nothing. This is the actual shell itself that it comes with. These extra units are only used on the AI version to give it a huge extra amount of armour and structure. So if you meet one of these on the battlefield, they are really hard to kill. To be fair, this is a bit of a meme mech. It's not particularly useful. I thought I'd just whack in a couple of long-term artillery. It can just sit there and shoot stuff from range. I've also got this special command console armoured, which does a little bit more than the normal command console, so that's really useful. But otherwise I just use it just because it's unique and I can, and I like quads, so it's fun. Okay, my next mech is the Black Queen, which I'm not going to show you because this is a bit of a secret how I have this built. It's not hugely fun. It does what I want it to, it's fun, but it really doesn't fit much of a role because you can't get a lot of damage out of them, but so we'll pass on that. The final mech I've got is the Stinger Lamb. Why on earth have I got a single 30-time lamb, you might ask? It's quite simple. This thing is designed for doing rescue missions. If I want to, I can drop it into a rescue mission, pick it up and disappear before they even get a shot in. This thing is seriously fast. You can see by the amount of turbines it's got in. I can't remember how many pips it goes, how many hexes it goes, probably 30, 35, something like that. So yeah, it's great fun, but beware, if you do use something like this for doing rescue missions, it will lower your difficulty if you're using company difficulty. On the other hand, if you want to lower your company difficulty so you can hunt for some sort of light or medium mechs that you're not otherwise finding, it's really useful to throw out a few of these rescue missions. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the introduction to my mechs. This is my Doom Turtle in the background just for the final bit. Keep watching my feeds and like, subscribe and all of that sort of stuff that the kids say these days.